Season 9 of Ascension WoW brought with it the release of the coveted new game mode called Manastorms, an infinitely scaling dungeon hopping gameplay experience that houses up to 10 players at a time. Upon reaching level 10 on the Elune server, players can jump straight into the Manastorm with 4 gameplay modes available: solo, duo, trio, and group formats. Before we jump into the complexity of the wild Manastorm, there are a few things that we should get out of the way first. Why play the Manastorm? The Manastorm provides you with many rewards as you complete levels. As you do complete Manastorm levels, you earn a large chunk of experience at the end of every level, being rewarded with caches that contain gear as well as bonus caches. These bonus caches contain small amounts of gold, as well as scrolls of ascension, both talent and skill variants, that allow you to reroll your talents and skills respectively. Bonus caches also contain items called card packs, again, for talents and skills, respectively. When you die or leave the Manastorm, you will also gain marks of ascension based on how many levels you completed in the Manastorm, earning larger chunks for levels you have not completed before. Marks of ascension can be turned into Silas Darkmoon at your capital city, Stormwind for the Alliance, and Orgrimmar for the Horde. Turning in marks provides more scrolls of ascension and card packs. For more information on marks of ascension, scrolls of ascension, and card packs, see my other video, the only guide you need to Season 9 Ascension World of Warcraft. When you reach level 60, the system changes slightly. Instead of earning caches every level completed, you begin to earn them in every sequence of 5, the small rewards scattered every few levels, like singular talent scrolls or a singular card pack. At endgame, the caches of gear containing gear range from normal difficulty all the way to heroic Blackwing Lair, as of the time I'm recording this. On screen, you should see a full table with information on what drops from what section of the Manastorm. Pause the video if you want information on a specific section. We've talked about what you get for playing Manastorms, but what do you actually do in a Manastorm? When you enter the Manastorm, you will start in a protective bubble that regenerates health and mana and prevents mobs from attacking you for up to 2 minutes. This is usually used to apply any buffs to yourself at the start that you want to use for the entire Manastorm, alongside the buffs that your build rolls. You can eventually pick up more consumable items from a vendor named Cogsley, whose inventory costs Bonzo Bolts, a tertiary resource that you get for completing Manastorms. Before you step out into your first Manastorm experience, I recommend you set up a few things. All players who enter the Manastorm have 3 things added into their inventory. These are called Endless Manastorm Potion, Millhouse's Magical Escape Potion, and Millhouse's Regeneration Matrix. The effects provided by these potions are invaluable to your Manastorm runs, and the scaling of Manastorms is balanced on the assumption that you're going to be chugging the healing potion like it's your job. You know what you're going to get, you know about the potions that will help you, and hopefully you've set them up on your hotbar so you're comfortable with using the ones you already have. What about what you will actually encounter in the Manastorm? In the Manastorms, you hop between dungeon and open world locations each level, and encounter randomized packs of mobs. The packs getting more and more random the higher you progress through the Manastorm. Although the mobs are random, there are a list of enemies that you will consistently see replace mobs, like the Blind Light Oracle Murloc, or the lower Blackrock Depths Orcish units, but the boss of the map always stays the same, based on the map you're in. Maps and mobs in Manastorm can carry affixes, which grow more common the higher levels you progress through the Manastorm. Eventually, individual mobs will start to carry multiple affixes at the same time. Let's go over the affixes, so you're not blindsided when you get in there, as honestly, they can be your biggest threat based on your build. For those of you who want to be fully prepared for the challenge the Manastorm will throw at you, we'll now go over every individual affix that is currently in the game as a recording, as well as what they might look like and my best advice for dealing them. There is a timestamp provided on the screen for those who are already familiar and wish to skip this section of the guide. Hello, editor Matrana here. I just wanted to cut in before this section starts and say that unfortunately the images that I used for the information about affixes came out a little blurry in editing. They were very small images, and AI upscaling ended up making them look very, it made the text look like it was drawn by a toddler, if that makes sense. Just very blurry, very sloppy, very ununiform. So the images are going to be slightly blurry, and I do apologize about that. I trolled the Ascension database for as long as I possibly could without going insane, and I couldn't find higher resolution descriptions of these affixes. So hopefully something like this gets sorted, or, yeah, hopefully something happens with that. Maybe an Ascension dev will see this and want to note these in the database, something like that. It would be cool. But do forgive me that I couldn't find something better for this, but I tried the best I could. Anyway, on with the video. Thank you for your understanding. Peace. Bone Storm. Mobs with the Bone Storm affix have a red blood and bone effect on their model, visually tinging them with a red color. When a mob with Bone Storm dies, it will shoot a projectile in a random direction that forms into a moving tornado of blood and bone when it touches the ground. This deals large damage to players caught in it. Bone Storm will seek out the nearest player to it after being created. Mana Bomb. Enemies carrying the Mana Bomb affix have a subtle arcane energy effect on their model. When they die, they create a large ball of energy on their death location. After several seconds, the ball will explode, dealing massive amounts of damage to your mana bar. One or two of these will leave you with a completely empty mana pool. Fungal Summon. Some enemies have a sickly green energy to them. These enemies will continuously spawn mushrooms around them as long as they are in combat. Players standing in mushrooms take constant damage, and this effect stacks per mushroom, becoming deadly if you sit in one place. Unrelenting Speed. The mob has 60% increased movement speed. They go real fast. Can't spot a visual indicator on this one. Let me know in the comments if you know this one. Cleaving. Mobs affected by this automatically cast Cleave every time they auto-attack, dealing increased damage and hitting other nearby players. The visual indicator for cleaving is a violent, green, blade-like energy swirling around the mob. Overwhelming Energy. When the mob dies, it spawns an arcane storm that begins to shoot many shards at all players within sight. Breaking line of sight stops this storm from attacking you. The magic minigun. This also has an arcane energy as a visual indicator. Lightning Rod. When the mob dies, it spawns a few concentrated walls of lightning that deal immense damage when touched and stood in, but they are generally easy to avoid if you keep on your feet. Violent, crackling lightning is the indicator for mobs with this effect. Juggernaut. This mob is immune to crowd control effects. A large, red, barrier-like effect indicates this affix. Leeching. This mob heals when it attacks you. Also unsure of this one, as it has a very rudimentary documentation on the database, but it has a little leech icon on its buff bar. Reflective. A portion of damage you deal to this mob is reflected onto you, signified by a red orb quickly rotating around the mob. Bulwark. The mob will occasionally form a bright yellow barrier around itself, reducing the damage it takes. This just seems to kind of happen, but it doesn't impact gameplay too much. I also have not been able to find a visual indicator for this affix. Vortex. After you kill a mob with this affix, a tornado will form a few seconds after, pulling you to its location and dealing damage to you while you stay in it. There are also map affixes that affect the entire level and not just the mobs. These are as follows. Manastorm Meteor. Occasionally, a large pillar of purple light will start shining to indicate the drop location of a meteor. If you don't move out of the way in time, you will take massive damage from the collision, somewhere around 60% of your max health or more, usually. Mana Shards. Occasionally, a bullet hell of barrages will start to telegraph the drop location before falling a few seconds later. Generally, moving will mitigate most of this damage, but if you do get hit by these, they do significant damage. Portals. Occasionally, the map will spawn a pack of usually 2 to 3 mobs directly on top of you. If you're really fast, You might not aggro them as they take a few seconds to spawn, but if you're already in combat, it'll usually add to the difficulty of the encounter because these spawn packs can have the previous mob affixes that we discussed. Finally, current map modifiers. We have Creeping Frost. The map will consistently spawn patches of ice under the player's feet that deal damage and slow movement speed as long as you remain in them. I'll now go over a collection of general gameplay tips that really help you as a player to progress through the Manastorm very quickly. After you've put some time into clearing Manastorm, you start earning large amounts of two currencies, Bedlam Bullions and Bonzo Bolts. Bedlam Bullions are used to reward players with cosmetic items, mounts, and utility spells such as Pick Lock for completing Manastorm levels. These can be purchased from the aptly named Millhouse Manastorm himself. You get large amounts for completing levels that you haven't before. The rate then shrinks if you repeat the same levels. Bonzo Bolts allow you to purchase potions and elixirs that help you progress further and further into the Manastorm, giving you powerful, infinitely usable consumables that are only usable in Manastorm. In my opinion, the purchase order for these should go as follows: Speed Potion, Interrupt Rod, followed by 4 elixirs, Rage Rush Solution, Incantation Intensifier, Arm Repellent Remedy, and Long Haul Liquid. These 6 consumables are your absolute baseline for Manastorm progression. They buff your overall stats, and since every build benefits from both attack power and spell power, having both improves the damage of your spec greatly in the Manastorm. After acquiring these, I would pick up a DPS cooldown potion, these being Chakra Chug, Genius Juice, Muscle Maxer, and Reflex Booster. Each of these buff a stat by a pretty sizable percentage ranging from 8 to 15% for 15 seconds. The final potion I recommend getting is Motion Lotion, a potion that allows you to become immune to crowd control effects for 10 seconds. Powerful effect, but I recommend it because becoming crowd controlled and swarmed in the Manastorm is very deadly. To wrap this video up, I wanted to leave you all you Ascension players with some informative content on builds to help you figure out what you actually want to play this season. The removal of the build architect this season of Ascension hurt the player base a lot in terms of build diversity, in my opinion. But that's a discussion for a future video. For now, I have 2 builds to provide you that will allow you to excel in different parts of the Manastorm. One of these builds is designed for pushing higher level Manastorms with relative ease, and the other is great for farming lower levels incredibly quickly. 2 aspects of the Manastorm that are very important in the endgame of Season 9 Ascension. Pushing high-end Manastorms provides you with tons of marks of Ascension and allows you to obtain very high levels of gear even when you don't have anyone to play with, since Manastorm can be completed solo. Repeatedly completing levels 1 to 51 of Manastorm is currently the best way to farm Scrolls of Ascension based on the community's understanding. For high-level Manastorms, we have the Crimson Champion, one with the light build. A mouthful of a name for sure. It uses hoplite training to use a single 2-handed spear and shield, using some of the previous tank mystic enchant Crimson Champion to gain large amounts of survivability and self-healing. This synergizes with the normal one with the light build that uses Divine Storm and several mystic enchants to heal themselves immensely while dealing large damage. Since this isn't a build guide video, and I currently don't have one, I'm going to link you to I think the best build video guide I have found for this. It's done by a new Ascension creator like myself, Velvet. The link will be on screen for the next 30 seconds that directly takes you into that build guide. Show them some love, they're actually one of my favorite creators to use to get through work. I hope to see more from them. Go ahead and give them a sub. For the second build, simply called Double Down, I honestly couldn't find a solid video on Double Down. That's not to say it's not out there, but our space is a very small one on the internet, and browsing YouTube and the Ascension database did not get me a build for Double Down. For that reason, I think that will be my first build guide for those of you who want to jump into the 1 to 51 gulag and farm these scrolls as painlessly as possible. For now, I will say that you want to take the talent Double Down, along with the skills Sinister Strike, Bane of Knives, and Fell Infused Weapon. Those 4 things will give you the most of what you need to kill early Manastorm bosses. Get those, some good daggers, and you're 80% there. Look forward to my Double Down guide in the future. With that being said, my friends, I've gone over just about everything that my little brain could possibly conjure in relation to Season 9 Manastorm. If you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please do leave a like and comment, as it helps me more than you could ever possibly know. Share this with anyone you think might need it as well. I want to help the Ascension community as much as I can. Of course, it wouldn't be an Ascension video if there wasn't a giveaway at the end. For this video, leave a comment on the one thing you would add or remove from Manastorm, as well as your character's name on a loon. I will pick 3 winners before my next video. We're going to start humble today, since this is my first video. Each winner will receive a potion of experience. With that all being said, I will see you guys in the next video, probably my Season 9 Ultimate Beginner's Guide. I hope you have a beautiful day, beautiful rest of your week, and I hope to see you again. Bye-bye.